Hey guys, Chief Zero here. Thank you so much for tuning into my next top 5 Pokemon of Generation 1. This is going to be a little bit different, and I'm going to explain to you why. In Generation 1, there's only 3 Dragon-type Pokemon. So what I'm going to do instead is those 3 Dragon-type Pokemon, I'm actually going to combine them into Flying types. So this video is actually going to be about my top 5 Gen 1 flying / dragon type Pokemon. I hope that's cool with you guys because that's kind of what I can really only do. So yeah, if you guys haven't already, please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to my videos here. It means a lot to me. It helps my channel grow and everything. I have a bunch of top 5 Gen 1 Pokemon videos up already that you should probably check out. I know if you want or something, I don't know. Over there on the side, basically of all the other types of Pokemon that we've done already, so it'd be really cool. We're almost done with Generation 1, so we're getting closer right now. It's kind of cool, in my opinion. I think it's cool. So with that, let's begin. Alright, so coming up at number 5 is going to be Dodrio. Dodrio is number 5 on this list, mainly because it's one of the first ever Pokemon that we've seen in the entire series. It's one of those opening shot Pokemon where you see it acting like a crow, basically. It's the Pokemon that cries out early in the morning at the butt crack of dawn to wake everybody else up because it's a jerk that way. But it was also kind of the really cool Pokemon that kind of showed you how different this world can be, because you have a gigantic bird on top of a house with 3 heads. And each of those 3 heads has a different personality, which I think is also really cool, because it's not just a single-minded Pokemon. It has 3 different personalities, and it makes it for a much more interesting Pokemon than if it were to just be like a Cerberus or something, where it has 3 heads but 1 mind, essentially, or something. I think it's really cool that way. Dodrio also has some pretty good speed and kind of decent attack. It has a Tri-Attack, which is kind of one of the moves that it's also known for because of its little 3 heads and the Tri-Attack. You get it. You get it. Dodrio is kind of a cool designed Pokemon, like I've said earlier before, because you kind of get the gist of what it is already by just looking at it. Even though it doesn't have any wings, it can still fly, which beats the heck out of me. I don't know, but Pokemon! And I guess Pokemon magic or something like that. I don't know. But for that reason, Dodrio is number 5. Alright, and coming up at number 4 is going to be Farfetch'd. Farfetch'd is a really kind of tragic Pokemon in this world because the lore behind it, and because of its rarity in the games, you find out that it's mainly because it's been overhunted. It's nearing extinction, unfortunately, and Farfetch'd, he just kind of wants to chill, but like people are hunting him, and it's kind of really sad. And no wonder why it's really hard to find, because of that. Farfetch'd doesn't have the best moveset or attack or defense or anything like that. It's just kind of a Pokemon that's there, and it's kind of really unfortunate because it's such a unique design on a Pokemon that kind of feels like it's more sentient than other Pokemon, because it has a tool, and that's kind of one of the really cool defining things about a Pokemon, is if it carries a tool. It has its little leak that it carries around to use as an attack, which I think is just really cool, really thought out. Possibly a defense mechanism because it's been overhunted. It just needs a little bit extra help, which just makes me even sadder thinking about it, actually. But yeah, Farfetch'd is a really cool design. Its stats aren't that great, and it's nothing to cry home about, but it's really cool, and in my opinion, that's all that matters. And that's why it's at number 4. Alright, coming up at number 3 is going to be Dragonite! So this is where I keep that promise that this is going to be a mixed type video, because there's only 3 types of dragons. So Dragonite actually fits number 3 here, mainly because it's incredibly OP. It is one of the strongest Pokemon in the game. it's a mythical dragon type, which is really cool. Even though it looks really cuddly and super nice, like it doesn't want to fight necessarily, but will probably wreck your face if you get too close to it. My voice got really high. Dragon Knight is kind of the poster child for dragon types, especially from Gen 1. Even though Charizard looks like a dragon, acts like a dragon, and just, you know, kind of almost is a dragon, it's not actually a dragon, but Dragon Knight is. I think it's really cool. Dragon Knight is one of my favorite Pokemon that I usually have on my team because I personally love dragons. If I was a gym leader in this world, I would be a dragon type gym leader because I love them so much, and I think they're the most coolest things ever. But Dragon Knight, besides its OP-ness and stuff, it has a really fun design. And once you look at its evolutionary line, it kind of doesn't make sense, but it also kind of does in a weird way because it's such a mythical Pokemon that you just kind of like, logic, throwing out. But besides that though, Dragonite is just kind of like a cool Pokemon. It can circle around the globe and so fast that it makes sense for it to be mythical and to be super rare. And in the world, in my head canon, that the reason why it's so hard to find people with it, not only because dragon types are extremely hard to train and find it on its own, but because its evolutionary stages from a Dratini to a Dragonite to a Dragonite, it just doesn't make sense. It throws people off. That, like, you know, if you try to look for a nest of Dragonites or something, you're not gonna really connect the two unless you already knew about them, which I thought was really cool. But yeah, Dragonite is number 3 because of its OP-ness, its awesome design, its dragonness that I really enjoy, and its awesome moveset that has a lot of amazing moves that you can use against other Pokemon, especially against itself. So I think that's really cool, guys. Thank you very much, Dragonite. You're number 3. Alright guys, so coming up at number 2, this is a really hard decision between this Pokemon and our eventual number 1 pick, but number 2 is going to be Pidgeot. Pidgeot to me was like one of the coolest Pokemon I've ever seen. Not only is it this giant hulking bird type Pokemon, but it also has a really sweet dew. Like, look at that hair, like, that's goals right there. Pidgeot is, to me, it's kind of a majestic Pokemon because it looks so powerful, even though stat-wise it's not really. It does get a pretty decent boost later on in the games, but to me, Pidgeot also kind of has like a little bit of a sentimental value because of the anime in which Ash eventually releases his Pidgeot that had just evolved into the Pidgeot, and he let it go so that he can help protect his fellow Pidgeys and Pidgeotos and stuff. I think it's really cool. I can't really recommend Pidgeot as one of like all-time Pokemon, mainly because it doesn't have that great of a moveset. Even though it does have some powerful moves, it's not something to be incredibly competitive about. But its design is practically flawless for me, and it's one of my top Pokemon of all time because of that. Pidgeot is a noble Pokemon to me. I feel like it's very dependable. It's something that would always help you out no matter what the situation is, and will take the hits for you because of that loyalty that it has to you. I think Pidgeot should have a little bit more to him as well. But I'm also happy with the way Pidgeot is, because if it wasn't for the way Pidgeot is right now in Gen 1, I don't think I would like him as much. So I'm really glad he got love later on in the generations, but I also really am a fan of Pidgeot the way it is. And that's why, Pidgeot, you're at number 2, buddy. It's a really hard decision, I know, I'm so sorry. If it wasn't, if this was a pure flying list, you would be my number 1. Did you get the hint? Because now it's time for our number 1 flying / dragon type Pokemon, and it's Dratini. Why Dratini and why not Dragonite or Pidgeot like I just said? It's mainly because Dratini is such a cute Pokemon, but also a really unassuming Pokemon. You don't assume much from this Pokemon because it just looks adorable. Like, how could this little tiny thing be so threatening if it has no arms, no legs, or anything like that? But then you realize it's a dragon type Pokemon. And you know that there's only 3 types of dragon type Pokemon in this game, in this generation. And Dratini is the start of it all. Dratini is an extremely rare Pokemon to find in the Safari Zone. In some games, you could buy him from the game corner in Celadon City, but you kind of don't want to do that also because you know it's owned by Team Rocket, and you know, like, in the lore story in my head, and I'm pretty sure in general, you know that they've probably kidnapped this Pokemon from its natural habitat and are selling it. And why would you want to further the cause and give these people money when you know what they've done to these Pokemon? So whenever I try to grab a Dratini, I always catch it in the wild, from the Safari Zone. But you know, like, I would rather much capture them in the wild than give Team Rocket my money for this mythical Pokemon, which I don't know how you guys feel about that, but you know, whatever. Dratini is also a really cool looking Pokemon because even though it's such a tiny Pokemon, you know that deep down, like, it has the heart of a dragon, which could potentially wreck you. It's a mythic Pokemon in the game because of the lore behind it, because of the real world lore behind all of these Pokemon and the dragon types. Dratini is a really cool Pokemon. He has one of my favorite designs of it, even though he doesn't necessarily look like a dragon type. He gives off that feel that this is what a baby dragon is supposed to look like in this world. And even though I was kind of debating on whether or not to put Dratini or Dragonair into this as well, it could have gone either way for Dratini or Dragonair, but I think that Dragonair has its own level of awesomeness in between Dragonite. Like, I would be happy if Dratini only evolved into a Dragonair because that makes so much sense. Evolve, it just becomes a longer, stronger Pokemon with, you know, a few more aesthetics, but having it also evolve into Dragonite afterwards kind of throws off the balance for me a little bit, because to me it kind of seemed Dratini and Dragonite kind of remind me of like a larvae Pokemon in a sense, and in the third evolution it somehow becomes this hulking dragon Pokemon with actual limbs and stuff. It doesn't make sense to me and stuff. So I kept Dragonair as my number 1 Pokemon here because it's the OG dragon. It's pretty hard to find. It has a pretty tragic story with it involving Team Rocket. Like all Pokemon of rarity, they're just to some of these people, they're just there to be hunted and sold. And Dratini is part of that, and it makes me really sad about that because I don't like animal cruelty. But Dratini is my number 1 pick because of all of that, and just because it's freaking cute. Like, I love dragon type Pokemon, and like I said earlier, if I was a gym leader, I would be a dragon type, and I would definitely start off with a Dratini. Maybe I'll even level it up to 100. You don't know my life. I don't know. But besides that, though, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this mixed list of flying and dragon types. I hope you guys understood why I did that. And if you like my list, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, then let me know what yours would be. You don't even have to include the dragon types. I don't know. But with that in mind, also thank you. Check out my other top 5 types of Pokemon from Gen 1 over here. Follow me on social media. Tell me about your Pokemon awesomeness that you have, your teams and everything. I look forward to it a lot. And thank you so much again for watching, guys. Chief out.